from 80s and dry
We're expecting quite the change in the weather over the next 24 hours.
to winter storm warnings and several inches of snow.
I think everybody was like, oh, look at us. We're going to squeak out this year.
It really doesn't get more Colorado than this.
Well, in Colorado, I'm not sure if it's ever fully safe to do that spring planting.
From that garden you thought was in the clear.
So I suppose tomorrow everything will look all bent over and very dramatic and very sad.
To those blooming trees lining the streets.
So when the trees get storm damage, it's never pretty.
We have you covered ahead of wet, heavy snow coming to the Front Range. And the weather alerts across our state tell the whole story. We have red flag warnings in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. That's across the eastern plains. And those are being followed up with winter storm warnings across much of the state, including right here in the metro. We're in for some fun. Thank you so much for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Ann Trujillo.
I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us tonight. In our lackluster winter, we had to know this was coming, yeah.
Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson's tracking it all for us tonight. And Mike, we're talking, what, a 60-degree drop over the next 36 hours?
Yes, from 88 the high today to, by the time we get to early Saturday, 28 degrees. So it's all going to look different in 24 hours, I can tell you that. As far as the highs today, 88 was the number in Denver, 90 out at Burlington, and Pueblo hit 92. Now the air is very dry and the winds have picked up. That's why we do have the red flag or fire weather warnings, the synonymous. Winter storm warnings across the central part of the state, including the Denver area. So we go from fire to ice on this one in a big hurry as the cold front comes in. Farther west, winter weather advisory, mountains west of the divide and east of the Denver area, and a freeze warning up across northeast Colorado. Now the front is pushing into the northwest corner of the state this evening. And look at the temperature difference. 32 right now at Casper. It's still 91 degrees at Lamar. How much snow to expect? I'll have that for you in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Mike. And we found one place where people are super excited about the incoming snow, Arapahoe's Basin ski area. They say some areas have dirt on the slopes, so this storm will provide some much needed fun for everyone.
The forecast is so volatile, we don't really know. It could be a few inches, it could be a couple of feet, but it could be a really nice refresher and a very fun, wild spring ski weekend.
Oh boy. Now, don't get your hopes up. The team at A Basin, they're saying no matter how much snow they get, no lifts will be reopening after this storm.
And the storm's hitting right in time for graduation season, and that's forced some schools already to change up their plans. Currently, we've seen changes by Boulder Valley schools, Jefferson County schools, Adams 14 School District, so please make sure to check with your school district to see how the graduations are being impacted. Now, Evergreen High, Chatfield High, and Columbine all have ceremonies at Red Rock Smart. We haven't heard yet on what's going to happen there. And there are a couple of state championships planned for the weekend as well. The state's already moved some lacrosse games from Saturday to Sunday, and they are planning to move the state track championships as well.
All right, so you planted your spring garden. The trees and bushes in your front yard are in full bloom. What do you have to do to protect them? Well, whether you're new here or native, it's always good to get a refresher. Denver 7's Brian Wang talked to some experts.
Good evening. The type of winter weather that we're expecting this time of year is certainly rare, but not unprecedented. What's important now, though, is that you take advantage of what you can do to protect your trees, plants, and homes.
So we've always been taught that in Colorado that after Mother's Day, you're typically in the clear.
But not this year.
Because clearly we're past Mother's Day.
And there's a winter storm brewing with heavy rain and snowfall expected across the metro starting tomorrow morning. That means spring gardens like these in front of Verlena McEwen's Capitol Hill Salon are in jeopardy, but she knows the basics of covering them from unfavorable weather.
You know, obviously any type of like a plastic sheeting or a tarp of any kind.
Problem is, this winter storm may dump up to 4 to 8 inches of snow, and she's not taking any chances.
We'll probably trim these flowers up in the morning and put them in a vase and keep them in the salon for the day and enjoy them. And they probably won't bloom again. Especially the iris, won't bloom again.
It gets a little trickier when trying to protect your trees.
So when the trees get storm damage, it's never pretty.
And because most trees have already leafed out, they are prone to holding more of that wet, heavy snow, becoming vulnerable to breaking limbs.
So that's why it's important if you can knock off snow. You know, you're saving future problems for the tree. You're also not losing that canopy loss, especially if you get a lot of breakage.
Brushing the snow off is a pretty straightforward process.
On a tree like this size, I mean, with like a a long broomstick or something, you can do a pretty good job shaking off excessive weight or even shaking the trunk of the tree enough to drop snow off.
Anything larger than a mid-sized tree, Sundberg says most are out of luck.
But once you get anything bigger, you kind of have to cross your fingers and hope for the best.
Around the metro area, there are certainly a number of trees that tower over homes, that tower over power lines, and in the event that they fall over, that certainly could cause a lot of safety hazards. So Xcel Energy tells me that they have ramped up their 24-hour emergency crews in the event that an outage happens, in the event that a tree falls over. They say they're ready to go. In Denver, Bayan Wang, Denver 7.
And as many here know, snow this late into May is not out of the ordinary. Over the past 10 years, Denver has seen its last snow in May 4 times. The most recent, May 21st in 2019. We have a full look at the weather trends as well as what to expect with tomorrow's storm. You can find it all right now at thedenverchannel.com.
And unfortunately, the area around Pagosa Springs will not get the moisture it needs to help battle the plum top fire. Just a few showers overnight Friday and Saturday. This fire right now, 735 acres, 0% contained. Fire crews worked hard yesterday to build fire lines ahead of the critical fire danger today. This fire is burning about 7 miles north of Pagosa Springs.
Commerce City Police need your help to find the driver of a truck who they say shot at an Uber driver shortly after picking up a customer. This is the truck they're looking for. It's a blue-colored SUV, possibly a 2002 to 2008 GMC Envoy. Police say this shooting happened in the area of East 59th Avenue and Newport Street, and they say this truck has white letters on the front windshield, LED lights on the rear license plate, and very distinctive mud flaps. And police have not said what may have led up to that shooting.
It could cost you more the next time you use a rideshare app. Colorado lawmakers passed a bill requiring companies like Lyft and Uber to increase insurance coverage for passengers. Denver 7 political reporter Megan Lopez introduces us to a man who was injured in a rideshare crash and now has more than $100,000 in medical bills with no help from the company.
This was September of 2020. I was in a Lyft. I was heading home.
There's a certain level of trust to get into a car with a driver you don't know. Trust that you'll get to your destination safely. And most days Brian Fritz did, until 2 years ago.
I remember getting into a car with my roommate. And we were going down the highway. The vehicle I was in was in a severe accident, had flipped, rolled. There's 5 vertebrae that had gotten shattered in my neck from the impact when the car flipped. They put a titanium rod in my neck and 6 screws. There's so much that I lost. I was in a full body brace.
When he opened his first medical bill, Brian and his lawyer trusted that Lyft would help.
We submitted a claim to Lyft and to their insurance policy, and they, astonishingly to us, denied it. Lyft reported revenue of around $3.6 billion in 2019, so you better believe they had the funds to compensate a passenger.
To be clear, this accident was not the Lyft driver's fault. It was a hit and run, but Colorado law doesn't require rideshare companies to have insurance coverage for passengers in accidents involving uninsured motorists or hit and runs like this.
Look, I'm an attorney. I'm a personal injury attorney, and I had no idea that someone in Brian's position would not be covered under these circumstances.
Brian didn't have car insurance of his own because he doesn't have a car. He's now facing $167,000 in medical bills. So this legislative session,
it's official.
Lawmakers passed a bill to not trust but mandate coverage and require at least $200,000 in insurance per person. Rideshare companies fought the bill, saying it doesn't apply to shuttles or taxis, limos, or party buses, for instance, and it's going to raise their prices at a time customers can least afford it. That increase is expected to be roughly 6 cents per dollar spent.
If that means that folks like Brian Fritz are not saddled with 6-figure debt and permanent impairment for the rest of their life with no compensation, then that's worth it to me.
This bill is too little too late for Brian, but he trusts that it could protect other riders in the future. Megan Lopez, Denver 7.
Starting in July, riders can also expect a 35-cent per ride fee tacked onto their bills. That was part of that massive transportation funding law that passed last year to pay for roads and bridges and transit. The governor and lawmakers delayed the gasoline fee from that to help with inflation, but other fee increases are still going to kick in this summer.
The district attorney in Mesa County has found no evidence of election tampering in the 2020 and 2021 elections. The DA's report says issues with the county's voting system were due to workers inadvertently setting up election software incorrectly and then trying to fix their initial error. And those issues led Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters to claim that votes were being illegally manipulated during those elections. Now, she is currently under investigation for giving unauthorized access to voting equipment, which led to the public release of sensitive information. Peters is currently running for the Republican nomination to become our next Secretary of State.
Colorado Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert has voted against 2 bills aimed to help the baby formula shortage. Now, she was one of just 9 Republicans to vote against a bill ensuring that people can use WIC to buy baby formula. And she also voted against a bill to provide more funding to the FDA to address the shortage. In a statement to Denver 7, Boebert's team says increasing salaries for FDA bureaucrats without addressing the production and supply chain issue isn't going to solve the shortage. Democrats, she says, should be shamed for offering false hope messaging bills. Now, both bills passed out of the House last night. Now they head to the Senate for a vote.
Forgiveness takes time.
I mean, my reaction was sheer denial.
And it helps build the bridge toward healing.
He was more of a young man that actually cared about who he harmed.
We introduce you to the woman turning her pain into a lesson for others.
And the Avs look to take command in the series against the Blues. We're going to take you live to Ball Arena.